Hi everyone. I have a lot of information to go over. I have gotten a lot of insight today from my two appointments, and it was really nice to get out of the house today. So I'm actually feeling, mediocre right now. So that's good. I'll start with just a little joke that I kept thinking about. I have about an unlimited supply of pajama bottoms. I have ones with owls on them and moose on them and penguins on them and cute little blue ones and I have shorts and I have so many pajamas, and I'm realizing that I never get to wear all of them because I'm always busy running around. So I've got to enjoy my pajama pants, and then when I want to feel like an adult, I put a pair of yoga pants on, which to me are my usual pajama pants. And then I put them on, I'm like, oh, these are restricting me. I feel like I can't do anything in them, but I feel more grown up, which is funny because, 5 days a week I'm wearing my dress pants and I feel like a lady, and I'm wearing jewelry and I feel so good, but these pajama pants, I feel like a child. And yoga pants now make me feel like an adult, so that's my little bit of humor. I also wanted to get a bit of frustration out from my dance class last night. I'm sorry I'm so fidgety right now. I did end up going to a dance class last night, and I'm just going to justify it to myself and to everybody out there. I signed up in September for 2 choreographed dance classes that are performing in March, and I'm choreographed in them, and I've paid for my costumes, and I feel really terrible missing them. I did miss them last week, and I justified that to myself that was fine, but I don't want to miss the choreography. So whether I'm doing it or whether I'm not, yesterday I couldn't really, but I did more than I thought I could. But I'm generally the person that I do way more than I should. People know that about me, whether it's at the gym, and I never know the difference between doing nothing and doing everything. Like, there's no middle ground for me. So I have a hard time doing that middle ground or that nothing ground, as I've communicated. So then last night at dance, we have these ballet bars. They're movable and they're quite heavy, but for me, I can usually just lift them on my own and move them here, move them there, because we are moving them throughout the class. And we need to bring them out, put them back, move them around, again, here and there, all through class. And usually I'm the first one to a bar, whether I'm moving 1 bar or 2 bars, all on my own or with some help. So last night was the first night where I kind of just stood there, looked around, and I finally vocalized and I said, I'm really not capable of doing this. And someone said, well, it'd be nice if you could at least help. And that really, she doesn't know that I'm sick, because again, I don't look sick, but it's so frustrating because I'm always that person to go and do the most, and I'm always there. And the one time I need to step back, I don't have that support because I don't look sick. I look perfectly fine. And so my immediate reaction, because I'm still dealing with these emotions, is to get so angry. I was so angry. I got home and I was venting to my husband. I was so upset about it, but this is just something I'm going to have to deal with when, and so this is a prime example of when, showing how I deal with it. And of course I just went on my merry way and I didn't say anything back to her, and I don't know where my position is, because I don't want to pull out my little ulcerative colitis card. I don't want to just pull it out all the time and say, well, I have ulcerative colitis. I feel like I shouldn't have to do that. And it's not really fair to people too, because she doesn't know. And who am I to be like, well, I have ulcerative colitis, so I can't do anything. I just don't feel like that's a card that I need to pull out. So I think throughout my process, I might find something that works best. But for right now, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. And if people really truly knew who I was, they would know that something was wrong when I'm not the first to the bar to grab it and move it. So that's my little frustration I wanted to get out about that last night. I'm really dealing with my emotions. Every day it's kind of a struggle. I'm trying to level them out, but I'm ridiculously happy about some good news, and then I'm ridiculously sad about everything. And then I'm mad and I'm angry, and I'm just trying to deal with all of that. And at this point, I feel like I'm kind of dealing with them normally for the news that I've gotten. So, I don't really know what to say about that. I have more to say about it in a little bit, so I'll get there. So yeah, I feel like at this point I'm disappointing people for not doing as much as I usually do, only because they don't know about my sickness. So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, okay. I had an appointment this morning with my family doctor. I booked it last week because I didn't know if I would have seen the specialist or not by then, so I still kept it because I did get my diagnosis. So she said that she reaffirmed the cancer screenings I'm going to have to get. And this specialist kind of confirmed with that this afternoon as well, that generally for an early diagnosis, at a young age like me, it wouldn't happen for about 30 years. So at first they want to do cancer screenings once every 10 years. My grandmother had colon cancer, so they might decide to do it more often, depending on how bad my situation is. But apparently ulcerative colitis is genetic, and they find it very strange that nobody in my family has it, and I'm the only one. So they seem to think that my grandma had ulcerative colitis before she got her cancer, but I think she probably would have known that. So just take it as it is. So yeah, once every 10 years, and go from there. And my motto about cancer is, if I get it, I get it. Everything in life nowadays causes it, and everything now in life prevents it. So if I get it, I get it, and that's just not something I bother worrying about if I don't have to even think about it for another 10 years. She told me that my stomach aches that I've been having in the evenings, I mentioned in my very first video that my stomach was upset in the evenings, and I didn't know why, because that's not where my condition is. She said it's from the medication. Which, I didn't really consider because I eat it with food and that's what it suggests, but I'm the type of person, like I said in my first video, I don't take medication. I don't even take Tylenol. I don't take anything. So this is the first bout of taking it, so my stomach is, not handling it. She did mention it's the lowest dosage that you can get. I am taking one 500 milligram pill twice a day with food, and it, that little bit was still upsetting my stomach. So she said that the reason why it hasn't really helped is because it's such a low dosage, and they can't give me a high dosage right off the bat because I'd probably be more sick in the evenings, and I don't want that. In regards to the medication, that's about my second appointment this afternoon with the specialist. They were going to increase it to 3 times a day, same dosage, but 3 times a day. And then I wasn't running. I was leaving. I was walking out, and he caught me, and he said he ran into a gastroenterologist, who I'm actually referred to. I'm hopefully going to be seeing him within the next couple weeks, and he said he wanted to change my medication to something called Asacol, and I find that really funny that it has ass in it, because, well, it's for my ass. Sorry for the swear word, but I thought that was really funny. Asacol. Anyways, it's an 800 milligram pill, and I have to take that 5 times a day, and it was $50. I am not happy about that. And my husband actually just took me off of his insurance because I had mine and his, and we were only using, I don't know, maybe $15 a month. And he was paying more than that a month, so it just wasn't really worth it. But now if I'm going to be on medication that costs $50, kind of having a little bit of a heart attack about that. So I think he's going to put me back on there, and we'll see how that goes. But in regards to the medication, there's medication for when you're on a flare-up, which I have, and there's medication for when you're on maintenance, so when you're in remission. So there's 2 different types of medication. Well, there's 100 different types of medications, but there's 2 different sets, I guess, you'd get. And so right now they're just trying me on this one, and right now I'm willing to do anything to get rid of my symptoms so I can go back to work. And the medication is the thing that's readily available right now, because the other options are, from what I've read online, there's cleanses and food diets to get rid of your symptoms naturally, so you don't have to take all the medication. But right now, my main focus is to just get rid of the symptoms, and I have medication here. So if in the future, once I see my dietitian, I'm supposed to hear from them either at the end of this week or beginning of next week, if they can put me in the right direction of how to heal ulcerative colitis with food, then I'm definitely on board, because that's my ultimate goal. I don't want to be on medication for the rest of my life, so if I can handle it with food. Obviously, everybody's different, and that's what I'm needing to stress so much, is that everybody is so different. I did mention to my doctor about the types of food that I've been avoiding, and she basically said she has a few patients that have ulcerative colitis, and all of them avoid different food. The most common was meat, but I hardly ever eat meat anyway, so that's not really a concern. So I'm just going to wait to talk to the dietitian, see what they say, and right now I'm just going to keep eating, and I'm keeping a food diary. So I don't really know how to monitor how I react to the food that I'm noting in the diary, because sometimes I go right after I eat, and sometimes it's not for a couple hours, and I don't know what food it's from. I'm just going so often, so I don't know if I have to do a poop chart and see how often and what time I'm going to the bathroom compared to what time I eat. I don't really know how that works or anything. So anyways, another thing my family doctor mentioned is that there's another symptom, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, so sorry to leave you hanging, but it's been happening for even longer than my original bloody stool was happening. That was about 4 years ago. So this symptom's been happening longer than that, so maybe about 5 years now. And she said that it was a symptom, an early onset symptom of ulcerative colitis. And so here's this thing I've been dealing with for 5 years, not going into details. I've been dealing with it for a very long time, and I was given no answers. I went through so many testing and so many different doctors and all of this stuff for something unrelated, completely unrelated, and apparently they are related. So once this gets managed, that's something that will go away too. So that was some really amazing positive news I got today, and of course cried for joy in her office, and of course I cried for sadness in her office. I'm crying all the time now, part of my dealing with it. I cried at the doctor's office, I cried at the receptionist, I cried in the getting my medication, I cried in the surgeon's office. I cried, my friend dropped something off at the doorstep, and I started crying, and then she started crying, and I cried on the phone with my grandma, and I just went and picked up this Asacol. I just picked it up, and the pharmacist, I've actually never been to this one place before, and she says to me, "Oh, you poor thing." She's like, "Is it ulcerative colitis?" And she's just like this sweet woman, and of course she just wants to be sweet, but I'm in a very sensitive state right now, so being sweet to me just makes me cry all over. So I just started crying, and I'm like, don't want to talk about it. Give me my medication, let me leave. But she just kept saying, "Oh, you poor thing," and she said to me, "It'll get better." And everybody is just being so nice to me, and it's really, really great. But I'm just going to formally apologize to everybody out there. I'm probably going to cry. I'm going to cry on you, I'm going to cry on your friend, I'm going to cry on your dog, I'm going to cry on everybody, and that's all. So about the crying, I told my family doctor that my moods are kind of up and down. I told her it's like a roller coaster right now. She could see that in the office, how I'm crying for joy and I'm crying for sad. She knew that I'm going through a lot, and I'm calling it my grieving process, and not like I'm not really grieving a loss, because it's going to get better. So it's a temporary loss, I guess you could call it. And so I'm calling it my grieving process, because everyone deals with grief differently, and I feel like this is the way I'm dealing with it, and that's that. But she's kind of concerned about my moods, and so she kind of suggested I talk to somebody about it. But I have a really good support system, and I talked to my husband when I got home about it, and we feel like I'm dealing with this, 100% naturally, considering the situation. I'm doing all the right things. I'm still being social. I'm not pushing anybody away. I'm still managing my little tasks from work just for, a few minutes a day. I still have my same old interests. I went to my dance class last night, even though I wasn't able to do much. And I'm still eating. I'm still reading. I'm still living, and I'm not stopping that. And I'm not really feeling sorry for myself. I'm more in the informative portion of trying to know everything all at once, even though I spoke yesterday about being overwhelmed, and today I'm kind of even more overwhelmed. I mean, there's just so much stuff to think of on my mind all the time. I did sleep better last night, so thanks for everyone who said they wished I could sleep. I definitely got some much needed REM sleep. I was still up throughout the night, which sucks. Let's see. Okay, dietitian. I'm trying to be organized here. Dietitian, I'm seeing them next week, or at the end of this week. So hopefully that'll give me some insight. And I finally tried peppermint tea today. Peppermint's supposed to reduce inflammation, and I actually felt really good after I had the peppermint tea. So I am finding things that are helping, so that's good. And okay, so then that was my appointment with my family doctor. So then I just saw my specialist just now, and unfortunately the computer systems was down. So I freaking hate technology. It's so good and it's so bad. They didn't have any of my medical records, like nothing about the testing. I had to remind him about the colonoscopy on Friday. I had to tell him what I was being treated for, what I was being tested for. I had to tell him what medication I was on. So thankfully I remembered everything, but what he gave me some insight on is that he can't say right now that it's ulcerative colitis because the biopsy, I guess it had come back, but because it's on a computer, he didn't have it. So he can't guarantee whether or not it's ulcerative colitis or whether it's just colitis, which is better than ulcerative colitis, obviously. But my family doctor also mentioned it could be Crohn's. So I just have to wait for the test. So I'll see my surgeon on Monday, and he'll go over my medical records with me then. And I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought so terribly. So he mentioned, because I said what my family doctor said about it potentially being Crohn's, and that's why I don't have a definitive diagnosis, I guess, yet, which I thought I was, but again, I was in a daze after my colonoscopy. He said that Crohn's can be anywhere in your intestines and bowels. It can be anywhere, and it can affect all different types of places. Whereas colitis or ulcerative colitis starts in the colon, and it goes through your lower intestine, and it kind of goes like a little choo-choo train and just affects further and further up. And so he said because he saw it right away, he assumes it was colitis or ulcerative colitis. But he said that mine, he was really reassuring, and he is really nice looking, but he's kind of a douche. Like, he's sitting like, yeah, so it's kind of ulcerative colitis or colitis, but not Crohn's. Like, he was so, nonchalant. I guess to him this is nothing, but to me it's life-changing. So I'm really glad I saw my family doctor first, because she's so sweet. The pharmacist was even nicer than him. Anyways, so he said that he'll get those biopsies, and we'll see. Because I am still having, and he said from the colonoscopy, he said I bled so much during colonoscopy, which I'm really glad he didn't tell me afterwards, because I probably would have panicked. Now I'm like, whatever, it's over. I'm not bleeding as much, so that is one thing that's improved. Before it was literally blood everywhere, like so much blood, and so now it's not as bad. So I feel good about that. That something's, helping. But he said because I am still having blood loss that I do have I probably have an iron deficiency. And my friend Samantha, she's a nurse, she said that that's why my hands and my feet were cold, and that made a lot of sense. I still am kind of against taking supplements. I know that because my diet's going to change, I might have to do so, and that's something I'm mentally preparing for, but I'm really stubborn about it. So he said he wants to send blood work to see if my iron is low. If it is low, I will be taking an iron supplement, because he said, as much as I'm going to the bathroom right now, I can't drink enough iron or eat enough iron to replace the blood loss. So I would need an actual iron supplement. And so, I mean, that made sense to me, even though I have my own opinions about supplements. Anyways, so I'm being referred to a gastroenterologist, hopefully within the next couple weeks here, and they're to help with managing the medication and managing my remission when I get to remission. That's another thing the surgeon reassured me on, is he said this is only going to last for 2 weeks, this flare-up. So I'm so glad that there's an end in sight, that I won't be like this, because right now I'm just taking it day by day. But now that he says, this is only going to be happening for a couple weeks, that makes me so relieved. And then when I'm in remission, we'll work on keeping me in remission and to prevent flare-ups like this from happening in the future. That's what a gastroenterologist is for. But that's probably something I don't want to do the medication, like I said. So we'll go from there. I was referred to something called the vicious cycle, and it's something about food, and there's, I was given the contact information for it, and apparently it's difficult, but apparently it has like 100% success rate, but right now I'm just so focused on getting better, so I think I'm going to be out of work for the next 2 weeks, which really, really sucks. I've never been on short-term disability before, so that's something I'm going to have to look into doing. So I have my blood work probably tomorrow. I'll have the results on Monday when I go see the surgeon, hear from the gastroenterologist within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And I am still doing the acupuncture on Saturday. He said that was perfectly fine. And I think that's all. Today. I wanted to tell you how upset I've been, how I've been crying so much. And I can't help it. And it feels good to cry, but at the same time I feel like I don't want to say a baby, but I feel like a baby, because they cry all the time, just in the amount of tears that flow out of their face. That's really how I'm feeling right now, is that I'm just crying all the time, and I'm okay with that. It's just what happens. My friend yesterday was sending me e-cards all day, really funny e-cards, just whether they were inappropriate or whether they were about being sick and losing weight from having a stomach ailment rather than diet and exercise. I think that was really funny, and I appreciated that. But I also have people who are lifting me up so high and saying just all the right things, but I also have some people who are kind of making me panic a little, they just keep apologizing, I'm so sorry, and it's okay. It's okay. This is my life. It's not who I am. It doesn't change who I am. Not at all. Still gonna be me. Just is something that's happened to me, and I'm gonna be okay. So it's okay. So quit apologizing. It's fine. Then I have people who are saying, well, what if you never work again? And kind of being really negative about it. And even since this started, I've been waiting to go back to work the next day, every day. Every day, I'm waiting to return to work the next day. So I'm really thinking positively about that, and those negative comments they're not really helping. But people will be people, and I can't control them or control how they're feeling with it and how they're dealing with it. I know my husband, he's kind of at a loss right now. He doesn't really know what to say or what to do, and I'm sending him on errands tomorrow to get me groceries, because I feel like I don't want to eat half of what I have, so I need better food, I guess. And I have my friend going to come over and teach me how to cook eggs good, because we have hard-boiled eggs, and that's it. And eggs are so good, and I just actually started eating them this year. I never used to eat eggs. I hated them. I'm getting older, I guess. But I only eat them one way, and so I'm totally sick of them and need them in a better way. Like most of you know, my husband and I, we're not cooks. So my friend's coming over to teach me how to do that. And I don't know, not much else to talk about. Sorry to vomit so much sadness on you and so much happiness. I know you're probably confused watching this, and when I watch them back, I feel the same way, but that's how I feel all day long, so there's really no way for me to put a handle on it. And yeah, okay, that's all. Nothing else to say. I hope you all have a good day. Thanks everyone for watching and supporting, and I really, really appreciate it. My other video has over 200 views, which is pretty insane. And the second one doesn't have as many, still under 100, but I feel like the first one, really explains what I'm going through. Okay, sorry, this one's too long now, 25 minutes. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.